What if Suzuki brought back one of its most underrated muscle bikes? Not the Hayabusa, not the Katana, and not another high-tech supersport. We're talking about the Suzuki GSX1400. A huge, simple, torque-heavy Japanese naked bike that disappeared just as the world was becoming obsessed with electronics, riding modes, and increasingly complicated performance machines. But imagine Suzuki rebuilt it today. Same attitude, same brutal presence, but with modern engineering underneath. Could the GSX 1400 become one of the most interesting Japanese muscle bikes of the modern era? Let's find out. The original GSX 1400 was never designed to be the fastest motorcycle in Suzuki's lineup. That was precisely the point. It was built around something much simpler: massive torque, relaxed performance, and effortless acceleration. Its big four-cylinder engine delivered the kind of character that made you forget about chasing redline numbers. You didn't need to constantly shift gears. You didn't need to keep the engine screaming. Twist the throttle, and the GSX 1400 simply moved. That character made it fundamentally different from a modern superbike. The GSX 1400 was about muscle. It had the physical presence of a serious machine, the proportions of a classic Japanese UJM, and the kind of engine that looked like it belonged in a motorcycle from another era. And that's exactly why it still has an identity today. If Suzuki rebuilt the GSX 1400 today, however, it couldn't simply bring back the old motorcycle unchanged. Modern emissions regulations would force a completely different engine strategy. The classic large displacement engine could remain the heart of the bike, but it would need modern fuel injection, emissions control, cooling, and engine management. And Suzuki could go even further. Imagine a new generation four-cylinder engine somewhere around the original's displacement philosophy, not designed to win a horsepower war, instead tuned for enormous mid-range torque. That would be the key. A modern GSX 1400 shouldn't try to become another GSX-R. It should be the motorcycle that makes you ask, why do I need 200 horsepower? Give it a broad muscular power band, strong acceleration from low and mid RPM, a deep four-cylinder exhaust note, and enough performance to make highway overtakes completely effortless. That would preserve the original personality while making the machine relevant in 2027. And then there's the design. This is where Suzuki could make the biggest statement. Forget excessive aerodynamic bodywork. Forget aggressive winglets. The GSX 1400 should remain unmistakably naked. A large fuel tank, a muscular four-cylinder engine, a compact tail, a round or semi-classic LED headlight, minimal bodywork, and one enormous visual centerpiece: the engine. Imagine walking into a Suzuki showroom and seeing a modern GSX 1400 sitting next to a GSX S1000. The difference would be obvious. The GSX S would look sharper, more aggressive, more modern. But the GSX 1400 would look heavier, longer, more mechanical, almost like a modern interpretation of the Japanese muscle bikes that defined an entire generation. And that could actually become its biggest advantage, because the motorcycle wouldn't need to look futuristic. Of course, modern doesn't have to mean complicated. A revived GSX 1400 could have exactly the technology riders actually need: ride-by-wire throttle, multiple riding modes, traction control, ABS, a modern TFT display, LED lighting, and perhaps even cruise control for long-distance riding. But here's the important part. Suzuki shouldn't let technology become the identity of the motorcycle. The electronics should disappear into the background. The rider should still feel the engine, feel the weight, feel the torque, feel that unmistakable four-cylinder character. Because if Suzuki turned the GSX 1400 into a technology showcase, it would completely miss the reason people remember the original. This bike doesn't need to be the smartest motorcycle. It needs to be the most satisfying. So, could Suzuki really sell a motorcycle like this today? That's the interesting question. The market for large naked motorcycles is still competitive, but there is something modern motorcycles sometimes struggle to provide: personality. A revived GSX 1400 could sit somewhere between a retro motorcycle and a modern. The original GSX 1400 may be gone, but the idea behind it doesn't have to be. A huge four-cylinder engine, a muscular naked chassis, simple, honest styling, modern safety, and enough torque to make every ride feel special. That's what a modern GSX 1400 could be. Not a replacement for the Hayabusa, not a new GSX-R. Something much more interesting. A true Japanese muscle bike for a new generation. So here's the question. If Suzuki rebuilt the GSX 1400 today, would you want the big four-cylinder muscle bike back? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to see more forgotten Japanese legends imagined for a new era, subscribe to NDSTV. Because some motorcycles deserve a second life.